The day I found out my wife called another man boss in bed was the day I stopped being her doormat. I was tucking Anna in for the night, reading her that old picture book she never got tired of. Her head was heavy on my arm, the only sound in her room the soft click of the white noise machine. I kissed her forehead, careful not to wake her, and crept out into the dim hallway. That's when I heard Rebecca's voice, low, way softer than her usual work call tone, floating from the den. "Mm-hmm. Yes, boss," she purred, like she was smiling. I stopped dead, halfway to the laundry room. Her words slithered out so casually, but the pitch was all wrong, intimate, not professional. I barely breathed, staring at her shadow on the frosted glass. Silence, then a short laugh from her, and the scrape of her office chair. I pressed myself against the wall, heart hammering, wishing I'd misheard. She ended the call with a chirpy, "All right, see you tomorrow." The door swung open. She brushed right past me, not bothering to meet my eyes. All business, scent of her perfume in the air, and not a crack in her polite mask. "Late call?" I asked, forcing my voice steady. My hands shook a little, but I kept them stuffed in my pockets. She didn't stop. "Client escalation. Charles needed numbers before tomorrow. Sorry if it was loud." Her tone was clipped, impatient. She disappeared into the kitchen, opening the fridge like nothing strange had happened. I stood in that hallway, skin prickling, brain spinning up 1,000 scenarios. I replayed her voice. Yes, boss. Not just boss. That little lilt. And the fact that she'd slipped into that tone when she thought I was out of earshot. I felt something in my gut twist. A few minutes later, I wandered into the living room, acting like I was searching for my headphones. Rebecca had her back to me, hunched over her phone with this tight little smile. The screen glowed in the dark, lighting up her face just enough for me to read the message popping up. Last night was worth it. Promotion just a step away. My stomach dropped clean through the floor. She glanced up, catching me looking, and tilted the phone so the text vanished. "What?" she snapped, eyes narrowing. "Nothing. Just looking for my headphones." She rolled her eyes and set her phone face down. "I have an early meeting. Try not to wake Anna when you come to bed." Her words felt like a slap, all chill and no warmth. She drifted off down the hallway. I sat on the edge of the couch, fingers pressed to my temples, replaying those words. Last night was worth it. Promotion just a step away. That wasn't some work pat on the back. Not at 10:40 p.m. Not with that look on her face. I couldn't sleep. When I finally crawled into bed hours later, she was already there, breathing steady, her back turned. For the first time in years, I felt like she was a stranger. My wife, the woman I built everything with, was somewhere I couldn't reach. The next morning, she was up and gone before Anna woke. The seat at the table was cold, her coffee cup rinsed and stacked. I caught a glimpse of her phone as she ducked out the door, face blank, lips pressed tight, but a spark in her eyes I hadn't seen in ages. There was zero sign she'd noticed anything wrong. Later that day, as Anna colored at the kitchen counter, I stared at our family calendar and realized I'd been an idiot. All those late nights, her new confidence, the constant stream of praise from work. I kept playing the call in my head, that text message, her icy way of brushing me aside. I knew I couldn't let it go, but I also knew, for Anna's sake, I had to keep things together until I understood what was really happening. So I waited. I watched. I told myself it could still be a misunderstanding, clinging to hope even as the knot in my chest grew tighter. But it was like I'd already fallen off a cliff and was just waiting to hit the ground. That night, as I loaded the dishwasher, Rebecca breezed in, phone glued to her ear, and not even a glance at me. She paused long enough to say, "Don't wait up," and disappeared into her home office, door snicking shut behind her. When I finally turned off the lights and climbed into bed, her side was empty. Sheets stretched tight and untouched. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I buried my face in my pillow and just listened to the silence, wondering how long I'd missed the signs. And even then I knew I was only at the beginning of the fall. Things got weirder after that night. Maybe I was paranoid, but I started noticing every little thing, like the universe was trying to punch me in the gut and I just ignored it before. It started with an email from our joint credit card company. I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam, but the subject line had her name and unusual spending alert. And clicked through and stared at the list. Uber rides at 2:30 a.m., hotel charges from places we'd never stayed, stacked up over a couple weeks. The locations weren't close to her office. They were dotted across downtown. Nowhere that made sense for client dinners. I waited until she got home that night, Anna already asleep, to ask her. She was on her laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard, barely looking up as I stood in the doorway. "Hey, Rebecca," I said, forcing it casual. "Did you take an Uber last night at like 2 in the morning?" She didn't look at me. "Yeah, the client dinner ran late. You know tech people. Nobody watches the clock. Is this about the bill?" "The ride went out to the Grandview Hotel," I said, keeping my voice light, like maybe I was the one confused. "Is that where the dinner was?" Now she looked up, face unreadable. "We had drinks in the lobby bar. It's where the client wanted to meet. You know how these things are, Michael. It's not fun. Just part of the job." Her tone was icy, like I just accused her of stealing something. She turned back to her screen. "You know what it's like. I told you, there's a lot of stress right now." I tried again, there have been a few charges there, that's all. Multiple nights. She cut me off, closing her laptop with a snap. "Do you want me to quit? Because I can't just turn down work, Michael. I'm building something here. Maybe if you had a little more ambition." That stung. I bit the inside of my cheek, holding back. "I'm not accusing you. Never mind." She rolled her eyes, grabbing her phone and double-checking the lock screen, then putting it face down. "I'm exhausted, all right? I'm not having this fight." The mood at home turned cold after that. She went through the motions with Anna, but there was this wall up, like she was already somewhere else. I tried to play it cool, helping with bath time, making dinner, reading stories, but I was always watching, always listening. Every time she came home late and brushed past me, I wondered where she'd really been. One night, I picked up her phone by accident, thinking it was mine. She snatched it out of my hand before I could even see the lock screen. "Do you mind?" she hissed, snatching it back. "That's private. Boundaries, Michael." She changed her password the next day. She was careful about everything, her laptop, her bags, even her laundry. If I asked about dinner with a client, she rattled off a name and a reason like she'd rehearsed it. The lies were slick, practiced, and she barely tried to seem warm anymore. It wasn't just at home. She started skipping Anna's bedtime and ignoring weekend plans. She'd sigh if Anna asked for one more hug. Even breakfast was 3 people in the same room, all of us on different islands. The tension was thick enough to choke on, but there was still nothing I could point to and say, "Here, this is proof." Just cold little clues in her brittle attitude. Then, a couple weeks later, I was out for lunch with Chris, a coworker from my team. We hit up this sandwich place near the office, and he was rambling about some late-night bug fixes. Out of nowhere, he said, "Hey, I think I saw Rebecca the other night. Weird thing. She was downtown, near the old theater, like 11:30 or something." My stomach lurched. "You sure it was her?" He nodded, chewing his sandwich. "Yeah, I'm pretty sure. She was dressed up, looked like she was waiting for someone, definitely wasn't by the marketing office. I waved, but she didn't see me. Figured she must have had a big pitch or something." I forced a laugh, but my hands felt numb. "Yeah, big pitch." He gave me this sideways look, like he wasn't totally buying my act, but he let it go. After lunch, I sat in my car, staring at the steering wheel, the sounds of Chris's voice echoing in my head. It wasn't just receipts or hotel bars anymore. Now, someone else had seen her, a witness, right there in the wild. That was when I realized it wasn't just my family life turning sideways. Whatever this was, it was starting to spill into the rest of the world, too. It was a Wednesday when Anna pattered into the kitchen in her Peppa Pig pajamas, clutching her stuffed rabbit. I was stirring mac and cheese, watching the clock crawl past 7:30. Rebecca was already late, again. Anna clambered onto her chair, legs swinging. "When's Mommy coming home?" she asked, voice small under the hum of the refrigerator. I forced a smile. "She's got a big project, kiddo. She'll kiss you goodnight when she gets home." I slid her bowl across the table, my heart just not in it. Anna scooped at the noodles, then frowned. She's always missing bedtime now. Her lip wobbled, and she squished her rabbit close. "Can you tell her to hurry?" I reached over and squeezed her hand. "I'll try, Peanut. Eat up, okay?" Rebecca finally breezed in after 10, purse bumping the wall. She barely glanced at Anna's drawings scattered on the counter. "She asleep?" she said, voice flat, not even a hint of apology. I nodded. "Third night this week. She misses you, you know." Rebecca sighed, toeing off her heels. "It's not optional, Michael. The launch is a nightmare. If I make partner, that helps all of us. Anna will get it someday." I watched her move through the kitchen, perfume hanging heavy in the air. "You smell like you just got home from the club, not work," I said softly. She shot me a look like I'd spat in her coffee. Is this really the time to pick at me? I'm dead on my feet. I need sleep. She brushed past me and headed down the hall. I followed her with my eyes, feeling that hollow ache build up again. Midnight rolled around. Her side of the bed was perfectly made, not a wrinkle in the spread. Only her perfume lingered, but no heat, no presence. She was in her office, door closed, light glowing underneath. I knew she'd say she was working late, but all I saw was distance. When I got up for water, I spotted her phone plugged in on the hallway credenza. She always locked it, but while it charged, the location services icon blinked in the corner. I picked it up, a thumbprint still living on the screen, and flipped open her maps history. There it was. A pin dropped at the Monarch Hotel. Update time, 11:14 p.m. Definitely not near her marketing office. I felt heat rise in my neck, anger finally crowding out the old shock. She got it out of her way to make it look like a normal night, but she was further from our lives than ever. I slipped the phone back just as quietly, hands shaking just a little. I didn't say a word when she finally crawled into bed, hair damp, sliding under the covers like nothing was off. The next morning she acted chipper, tossing out a rehearsed late project call. "Sorry, babe. Thanks for holding down the fort." Her lies were smooth, polished. I barely recognized her anymore, but I kept playing dumb. That night, after she'd left for another late dinner, I pulled out the old iPad we used to coordinate calendars. Rebecca never bothered to log out of her work email on it. I opened her drafts folder, mostly out of habit, and there it was, an unsent message half-typed, cursor blinking at me like a dare. "You owe me. Don't forget who got you that contract." I stared at it, heart pounding, rereading those words until they burned behind my eyes. She wasn't just cheating, she was pulling strings, keeping score, using every move to climb higher at work and push me further into the background. The draft just sat there, unfinished, then vanished a second later, auto-saved or deleted. I couldn't tell. It didn't matter. I had enough to know she was running her own playbook, and I was done pretending. I shut off the iPad, the words echoing in my head. Every bit of patience I had was gone. I'd held my tongue, kept the house running, tried to keep Anna from noticing the cracks. But now I saw it. Rebecca was staging her whole life, lying to all of us, and I was the only one in the audience. I left the iPad face down on the couch, heart thudding in my chest. The next morning, Rebecca looked me up and down while pouring her coffee. "You look like you barely slept," she said, her voice clipped. I stared straight back. Yeah, late night. Couldn't shake the feeling something was off. She paused, mug halfway to her lips, searching my face for a threat. Then she just shrugged and left, snapping the front door behind her. I watched her go, knowing something between us had snapped for good. I wasn't just suspicious anymore. Now I was angry, and I was ready to do something about it. It was barely a week after the iPad incident when Rebecca landed her promotion. Senior marketing strategist, the press release said, with her photo right there. She acted like she just won an Oscar. The neighbors, who followed every LinkedIn update like it was national news, insisted on throwing a little congrats party for her. I kept thinking about Anna's crayon drawings and the emails in the draft folder, but I smiled and showed up like the supportive husband. The Williams living room was packed. People from the block, a couple of Rebecca's coworkers, and even Charles, her boss, who I'd only met twice before. He arrived with a bottle of Dom and a grin that looked too much like a challenge. I hovered by the snacks, nodding to familiar faces, trying to ignore the way Rebecca glowed in the center of the room. She was all teeth and confidence, working the crowd while Anna tugged at my sleeve for juice. I poured Anna a cup and squatted to her level. "You okay, Peanut?" I asked. She nodded, then pointed at Rebecca. "Mommy's busy." It was true. Rebecca didn't even see us. She was telling some story about the deal that almost wasn't. Everyone laughed in the right places, hanging on her words. Then, while people settled near the kitchen island, someone clinked a glass and called for a toast. Rebecca took the flute, eyes shining. "Thanks, everyone," she said, her voice ringing out. "It's not every day you get recognized for working your tail off. But honestly, let's be real. Some of us are just made for bigger things. Others," her eyes flicked at me, sharp as a blade, "well, they're happy just babysitting." A ripple of laughter, too loud. I felt myself flush, stung, and suddenly exposed. Anna looked up at me, confused. I could feel every eye dart to me, some people already murmuring behind their hands. Rebecca just shrugged like it was all a harmless joke, but her smirk said otherwise. "Yes, you get to enjoy more playdates, Mike," someone from her office piped up, that sort of forced laughter that's half cruelty, half relief it isn't them. I could feel the humiliation burning hot in my ears. I tried to force a smile, but my voice cracked when I answered, "Yeah, someone has to keep things running at home." Rebecca only laughed harder, waving her glass. "Well, we all know how much you love domestic life." Even old Mrs. Williams gave me a pitying look, muttering, "Well, somebody's got to hold down the fort," to her husband. Anna just pressed her face into my shirt, hugging my leg. I glanced around, feeling like the rug had just been yanked from under me. My own wife, tearing me down in front of an entire room, and nobody even flinched. That's when I caught Charles's eye from across the room. He was leaning against the granite island, glass in hand, watching me. There was this smirk on his face, not even bothering to hide it. He raised his glass, not to the room, but directly at Rebecca. Rebecca caught the gesture and her smile flickered, just for a second, like they'd shared some private joke. Charles winked at her, then looked right at me, holding my gaze as he took a slow, exaggerated sip. The air felt sucked out of the room. The laughter somehow got sharper, people nudging each other, eyes darting from me to them and right back. I realized then, this wasn't just my humiliation. It was a show, and the only people who didn't know the script were me and Anna. The party kept rolling, people piling on the congratulations, but the sting didn't fade. Every time someone glanced at me, I saw sympathy, but nobody said a word. Rebecca was swept back into the center, never meeting my eyes again. As I helped Anna on with her shoes in the front hall, she whispered, "Can we go home now, Daddy?" I nodded, taking her hand, feeling a cold pit in my stomach. Over Rebecca's laughter and the clink of glasses, Charles's smirk was burned into my memory. I knew, whatever was between them, it wasn't a secret anymore. And the worst part, nobody seemed surprised. The week after that party, it felt like the whole world got the memo that I was the punchline now. Our group chat, the one with the neighbors that used to buzz every Friday, just fizzled. I'd send a meme, no reply. Rebecca dropped in a humble brag about her new title, and 3 people left the conversation. She acted like she didn't notice. Saturday morning, Anna tugged at my arm while I was making pancakes. "Can Emma come over today, Daddy?" she asked, bright-eyed. "Let's find out," I said, texting Emma's mom. No answer. I tried again mid-morning. Nothing. By noon, Anna was sprawled on the carpet, silent, coloring a picture of our house with just her and me out front. Rebecca barely looked up from her laptop. I took Anna out for a walk, hoping to run into someone. We passed the Parkers, who used to invite us over for barbecue. I waved, but they just nodded, pulling their dog away a little too quickly. Anna called to their twins, but the girls waved, then darted inside. By Sunday, I was checking my phone every hour. Birthday party for the Reynolds kid, no invite. The group thread, silent. Rebecca didn't seem to care. She just scrolled on her phone, headphones in, acting like we'd always been on our own. Monday morning, as Anna and I headed to the car, I spotted Greg and Sam out front, talking by their trash cans. I smiled, aiming for normal. "Hey, fellas. Beautiful day, huh?" Greg gave a tight smile, didn't meet my eyes. Sam just blew out a breath, picking at a peeling label on the bin. "Yeah, sure," Greg mumbled. Busy week?" I nodded, awkward. "Yeah, always." "Hey, did you guys get the invite to the block meeting next week?" Sam shrugged. "Didn't see it. Maybe check with Rebecca, I guess. She's, probably knows." I tried to make a joke. She's got more meetings than the mayor these days, but the chuckle died in my throat. Greg just cleared his throat and said, "All right, we better get this stuff to the curb. Have a good one." I watched them walk away, talking low. Anna tugged my sleeve. "Why don't they want to talk to us, Daddy?" I knelt and brushed her hair back. "Sometimes grown-ups get weird, Peanut. It's not about you." That afternoon, I tried texting a couple of my old coworkers. Nothing. Even Anna's preschool teacher caught me at pickup with a nervous smile. "We're rotating playdates right now, Michael, just to keep things even," she said. But I could see the pity in her eyes. The next day, as I was taking out the trash, I caught 2 neighbors I barely knew, Grace and Tom, whispering by their garage. My name floated over. "I hear he's not even the real breadwinner anymore." They didn't see me at first. Grace shook her head, sounding almost sorry. "Honestly, I just feel bad for the kid. But you know what they say." I stepped around the corner, acting casual. "Morning. Everything all right?" They jumped, faces coloring. Tom stammered, "Oh, hey, Michael. Just talking, you know." "Yeah," I said, not smiling. "Have a good day." They scurried off, not looking back. Inside, Anna gazed out the window, tracing shapes against the glass. I set down the trash and stared at my phone, the silence in our house suddenly louder than ever. Rebecca came in 10 minutes later, keys jingling, not bothering to ask how our day went. I watched her walk through the kitchen, her head high like none of this touched her at all. The world used to feel big and friendly, people waving, and squealing with her friends, backyard barbecues, neighbors dropping in with beers. Now it felt like a tunnel, getting narrower every day. And at the end of it, just Anna and me standing alone. I realized then sympathy has an expiration date, and for us, it had already run out. Anna had always been a sunshine kid, totally open and eager for hugs, but that month, she got quieter. It started with her drawings. I found one on the fridge after work, just her and Rebecca, stick figures in front of a huge gray building. My own figure was nowhere, even though she used to draw all three of us dancing under the sun. I stuck it back up, not ready to ask why. Dinner became a war zone. Most nights, it was just Anna and me at the table while Rebecca FaceTimed from her office, half listening to Anna's stories about preschool. One night, Anna climbed onto Rebecca's lap, clutching a paper heart she'd made. "Mommy, eat with us?" Anna asked, voice hopeful. Rebecca didn't even look up from her phone. "Not now, sweetie. Mommy's working." Anna's mouth turned down. "You always say that." Rebecca sighed, peeled Anna's arms off her, and set her back on the floor. "Go play, Anna. Please. I'll be out soon." Anna dragged her bunny into the living room, shoulders hunched. I sat down next to Rebecca, voice low. "She misses you, you know." Rebecca barely paused, eyes never leaving her screen. "She'll be fine. She needs to learn boundaries. Anna can't expect me to drop everything every time she wants attention." "Rebecca, she's 5, I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. "What she wants is her mom." Rebecca snapped her laptop shut. "I'm not having this argument, Michael. I do what I have to do for this family. Not everyone can be home all day." "Don't turn this into a dig," I said quietly. "Nobody's asking you to quit. Just show up a little." She stood abruptly, gathering her files. "You make it sound so simple. If you want attention, why don't you both just go watch TV or something? I'm exhausted." She disappeared into her office, door closing with a soft click. Anna stared after her, eyes pooling, and crawled into my lap. I held her tight, feeling the lines shift in our house, me and Anna on one side, Rebecca somewhere else entirely. The next day, after school, Anna thrust a wrinkled piece of paper into my hands. "Daddy, look! Career Day!" She was bouncing in place, finally smiling. "Can Mommy come? Teacher says we learn about what mommies do." I ran my thumb over the flyer, reading the bold letters, "Bring your mom to Career Day." Rebecca breezed in later in a hurry, juggling 2 phones and rolling her eyes at some unseen email. Anna raced up, waving the flyer. "Mommy, look, come to Career Day with me?" Rebecca barely glanced at it. "I don't have time for that, Anna. I have real work." Anna's smile flickered. But you can just visit, please?" Rebecca snatched the paper, scanned it, and tossed it straight into the kitchen trash. "I said no, Anna. Don't ask again." Anna froze, lower lip quivering. "But everyone else is mommy." Rebecca cut her off, sharp. "Enough. I'm not everyone's mommy." Anna choked back a sob and ran to her room, slamming the door. For a while, the only sound in the house was Anna's muffled crying through the wall. I glared at Rebecca. "Did you have to be so cruel?" Rebecca shot me a withering look. I'm done being guilt-tripped for being successful. I can't coddle her every time she gets upset. I shook my head, voice tight. "One day, you'll wish you'd shown up for her. It won't matter how many promotions you have." Rebecca just gathered her files and retreated again, her heels clicking down the hallway, slamming the office door behind her. I cleaned up the paper, smoothing the crumpled edge, and slid it into Anna's backpack for tomorrow. She'd probably ask again, and I already knew the answer, but I wasn't about to let her think her mom's world was the only one that mattered. That night, Anna crawled into my bed after a nightmare, holding me so tight I thought she'd never let go. I stared at the ceiling, wondering just how much more Anna could lose before something finally broke. After the career day flyer, something switched off inside me. I stopped pressing Rebecca for answers. No more arguments. No more cold, pointless confrontations. I just moved in the background, blending in, taking care of Anna, and letting Rebecca think she'd won. The more invisible I got, the easier it was to see things clearly. I started keeping track. Screenshots of her late night messages, receipts from the credit card app, every time she took an Uber somewhere strange, every time a charge showed up from a club or a hotel that wasn't on her project list. I got everything backed up, emailed to myself from a quiet burner address. When Rebecca left her laptop open one evening, I scrolled through Slack and Teams messages. Half the urgent work chats were with Charles, always after hours, always deleted from her phone by morning. I waited until Anna was at school to make my first move. I called Stephanie, the HR manager at Rebecca's company. She'd always been the calm face at office parties, the one who kept secrets and remembered names. I asked her for coffee, and she didn't sound surprised. We met at a commuter cafe on a Thursday morning. She arrived first, setting her phone face down, her eyes never leaving mine as I sat down. "So, Michael," she said, "you sounded pretty urgent, but I need to know this isn't about a raise or PTO." I shook my head. "I need to ask something delicate, off the record. It's about Rebecca. It's about Charles." Her lips tightened, but she didn't flinch. "That's a loaded pair of names. What exactly do you want to know?" I slid a folder across the table, every page carefully labeled: hotel bills, message screenshots, timelines. "I need to know if you've ever heard rumors about them." Stephanie scanned the first page and nodded slowly, her face unreadable. "There have been whispers, but nothing documented. If you're looking for someone to blow this open, you'll need something more concrete than receipts. I can't move on speculation, Michael." I leaned in, lowering my voice. "What would you need?" "Something irrefutable," she said firmly. "Photos, audio, statements from someone who saw them together, something I can't be accused of inventing. If this is what it looks like, it goes all the way to the top. Are you sure you want to do this?" I nodded. "I don't see another way forward." Stephanie slid the folder back. "You're not the first person who's noticed the late nights. Charles protects his own, but if there's a breach, I'll back you. Just be ready for the fallout." I thanked her. On the way home, my hands were still shaking. The house looked the same, Rebecca's shoes by the door, Anna's artwork on the walls, but I felt like I was prepping for a war. I played the part perfectly at home. I was upbeat, fixed Anna's lunches, helped Rebecca find her keys, offered to pick up groceries. I kept my tone light, never let on that I knew anything, never left a trace of my suspicion. Rebecca never noticed. She was too busy with her emergencies and Charles's endless calls. Then, late one Friday, I drove Anna home from a sleepover and took the long way back. Just as we turned onto our street, I spotted Charles's black sedan, idling 2 blocks over, headlights off. Rebecca was in the passenger seat, her hand on his cheek. I knew because the street lamp hit her face just as she leaned in and kissed him. Not a peck. An intimate, slow kiss, her hand sliding to his collar. I pulled over, heart thundering, and snapped a photo through the windshield. The flash was off. Anna was dozing in her car seat, oblivious. I watched as Rebecca climbed out of the car, straightened her hair, and laughed at something Charles said. They hugged again, tighter this time, his hand pressed to her lower back. Rebecca hurried up the sidewalk, never looking back. Charles's car pulled away, easy and unhurried. I stared at the photo, my hands shaking, but not with fear anymore. I finally had it, proof. Not rumors, not receipts, but the truth right there in cold pixels. When Rebecca came in that night, I was in the kitchen, acting like nothing had happened. She kissed Anna on the forehead, threw her coat over a chair, and asked what I wanted for dinner. I smiled, steady as stone. Whatever you're in the mood for, Rebecca, you've had a long day. She didn't notice the difference, but I did, because from that moment, everything started moving toward the end. The next Monday, I took the folder and my phone and met Stephanie at her office. She had me come in early, before anyone else, and led me straight to a glassed-in conference room. She barely said a word, just gestured for me to sit and pulled the blinds halfway closed. I slid the folder across the table, hard copies of everything, and my phone unlocked the album with the photos of Rebecca and Charles. She didn't even sit at first. She flipped through the papers and tapped through the photos, her jaw setting tighter with every screen. She finally sat, eyes fixed on the photo, Rebecca's hand on Charles's cheek, his arm around her waist. "That's definitely a smoking gun," she said, voice low. "This isn't just a rumor or a few after-hours drinks. It changes everything." I nodded, keeping my hand steady. "I didn't come here for vindication, Stephanie. I want this handled right. I know what this means, Rebecca, Charles, the whole department. I want Anna protected, and I don't want this to be a circus, but I'm not letting it slide." Stephanie leaned back, folding her arms. "I need to be clear what you brought me. It could ruin both of them. This isn't just policy. It's scandal. There's a process, but the fallout is going to be public, ugly, and fast." "I'm not after destruction for fun," I said, voice flat. "But I'm not letting her walk away untouched. You always said you believe in the chain of command. I'm trusting you." She nodded, her face shifting from surprise to something colder and more professional. "We're going to do this by the book. First thing, I'll log your evidence in our secure system. I'll alert legal and ethics. You'll remain anonymous as a source, but with these photos, there's no coming back for either of them if this leaks." She paused, eyes searching mine. "Are you sure you want to go ahead? Because if I pull this trigger, you don't get to take it back. This could cost your wife everything she's built. She'll be lucky to find work in the county after this." I didn't flinch. "She made her choices, Stephanie. I'm just making mine." She gathered her things, voice lowering. "We'll time this right. Rebecca's about to headline a town hall for her promotion. It's the perfect moment. Maximum exposure, zero chance to bury it. I'll loop you in on the schedule, but you keep your distance until I text you. No warning, no contact. If she sniffs this out, they'll both bury evidence or close ranks." I stood, matching her evenness. "Understood." Stephanie softened for just a second, studying me. "You know, I always admired how you handled her. Quiet, confident, never the showboat. But this, you really sure you're ready for the fallout?" I stared at the window, not meeting her eyes. "I wasn't ready for any of this, Stephanie. I'm done being the joke." She gathered the folder, gave me one last nod, and left. The silence pressed in, broken only by the hum of the building's AC. At home that night, Rebecca chattered about her upcoming panel, already planning her next move, never noticing my calm. I made Anna's dinner, triple-checked her backpack, and watched Rebecca float through the kitchen as if the ground wasn't about to shift under her feet. Stephanie's warning echoed in my head. If this breaks, it could cost them both everything, including your wife's entire career. I kept my face blank, voice even, not even a hint of what was coming. From that moment on, every second was just waiting for the spark. The night of Rebecca's big company celebration was the last night she'd ever find me waiting up. She left the house in a new suit, her perfect perfume trailing the hallway. Anna and I watched from the doorway as she slid into her ride chair, barely glancing back. "Don't wait up," she called, the words echoing in our kitchen after she was already gone. As soon as the lock clicked, I went to work. I packed Anna's overnight bag with her favorite pajamas, her bunny, the backpack stuffed with crayon drawings. I emptied my half of the closet, every shirt, the old shoes, the wedding suit I hadn't worn in years. I moved through the rooms with focus, not anger. I took the wedding photos off the mantle, the family shots from the fridge, even the little ones squirreled away in Anna's toy box. If it was ours and it mattered, it came with me. I left Rebecca's things lined up exactly as she would expect. Her side of the closet untouched, her office neat. But every trace of me and Anna was gone. I pulled our last load into the hallway, checked the apartment one more time, and sat at the empty dining table to write the letter. "Rebecca, you made your choices. You chose your career. You chose your new life. I refuse to let Anna grow up thinking this is what family means. You can explain to her why you were never here. I'm done being background noise in your story. By now, you'll notice everything that mattered to us is gone. Anna deserves better, so do I. Don't bother calling. I'll be in touch through my lawyer." That was it. No begging, no explanation she could twist. I sealed it and left it at the center of the table. Then Anna and I left, walking out of the front door together for the last time. I didn't look back. It was well past midnight when Rebecca came home. She was tipsy, lipstick smudged, clutching a glass of champagne she'd taken from the office party. In the hallway, she called out, "Michael? Anna?" Silence. She flicked on every light, her heels echoing across the parquet as she moved from room to room. "Michael, where are you?" Her voice went sharp, then brittle. She dropped her purse, the contents spilling everywhere, but she didn't even notice. In the bedroom, she yanked open the closet, half empty. Her shoes still there, but mine and Anna's drawers stripped out. In the bathroom, my eraser was gone. In the living room, the picture frames were missing, only the dust outlines left behind. Panic crept into her steps. She darted to Anna's room, pulling open the toy chest, nothing but a few stray blocks and a forgotten puzzle piece. She grabbed her phone, hands shaking, and called my number, straight to voicemail. She tried again, pacing the kitchen, tears starting to streak her mascara. "Michael, pick up. What is this? Where are you?" Her voice cracked, desperate now. Then she noticed the letter on the table. She tore it open, reading the words in the harsh overhead light. I wish I could have seen her face then, the slow realization, the panic, the way her whole posture caved in. She sank into a kitchen chair, breathing hard, then typed out Charles's number. She waited, biting her nail. It rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. She tried again and again, her voice getting more ragged each time. "Charles, call me back. Please, just call me." No answer. No comfort, no partner, no child. Just the echo of her career celebration fading into the night, the empty rooms, the cold silence. She was alone, really alone, for the first time, and nothing she'd built could save her now. 3 days after I left, Rebecca's world finally cracked. She was sitting at the breakfast bar, scrolling emails, when her phone rang. Company line, HR's extension. She looked tired, eyes ringed and makeup half done, but she still answered with her executive voice. "This is Rebecca." Stephanie's tone was all business, nothing like the last time they'd met at a happy hour. "Rebecca, this is HR. Effective immediately, you're placed on administrative leave pending investigation. You are not to access any company files or enter the building. You'll receive further instructions by email." Rebecca froze, her knuckles turning white around the phone. Wait, what? Investigation for what? I just... Stephanie cut her off. You'll be contacted for a statement. That's all I can say. The line went dead. Rebecca stared at her phone, then fired off a frantic text to Charles. Call me. Now. What's happening? No reply. She tried again, fingers shaking. Charles, I need to talk to you. Pick up. Nothing. She switched to email, typing furiously, but every message came back unread. She scrolled the company Slack. Her name was gone from the main channel, her title stripped from the org chart. She tried calling the office, but the receptionist just said, I'm sorry, I can't connect you. In the days that followed, rumors spread fast. Rebecca's phone buzzed with group chats she wasn't part of anymore. She heard her name in whispers at the coffee shop, saw coworkers cross the street to avoid her. She flipped through LinkedIn, watching her connections drop one by one. That Friday, she dragged herself to the cafe near the office, a place where everyone used to greet her with smiles. She slid into a booth, clutching her phone and a cold coffee. Her makeup was smeared, her hair tied back in a sloppy knot. She looked out of place, a ghost of the woman who used to own the room. Across the cafe, a group of office juniors huddled around a phone, giggling too loudly. Rebecca glanced up just in time to catch a glimpse of Charles on their screen. He was beaming in a corporate photo, arm around a new assistant, young, bright-eyed, practically glowing. The caption read, "Congrats to our new executive assistant, Taylor." Rebecca's hand shook as she scrolled her own feed, landing again and again on the photo. She tried texting Charles one last time. No answer. She watched the office crowd swirl around her, not a single person meeting her eye. From a window seat in the corner, Anna laughed at something I whispered to her, crumbs on her cheeks from a chocolate croissant. I caught Rebecca's eye for a brief second. She looked right through me, lost and small. I just nodded, turned back to my daughter, and left her sitting there, still clutching her dead phone and staring at a world that had moved on without her. No one even bothered to say goodbye.